The left lane is at your traffic up to the minute. This traffic report is brought to you by University of
I did a photo shoot. I met his dad.
So now, what you been up to since the last time you were here? Outside of doing everything.
Trying to do more. You know,
Never enough.
entertainer, you know.
Yeah. Okay, we've got our guest. By the way, we webcast also, so that's our camera right there. So everybody they see you, so they see you at your best. Okay, we got Ziola Gay over here, and then we have Tony Grant here.
Where's the camera?
Camera's right over here, right there, right in front of you. There you go. And then we got Clifton Powell there. Okay. Clifton did a Martin Luther King. Yeah, I have a dream. You have a dream, man?
Yeah. I don't know about this morning because my voice is gone. That was a great role.
Yeah.
Anytime
How did they find you for that?
No, all God's work. I went in. My picture came across their desk by accident. And I don't even. Luther Cannon put me in. I was in Buffalo Soldiers then, and running around loose, and a lot of fools fall in love. And he just said, "Well, bring him in." And, you know. And I went in and did the speech, and the rest was history. But it was just my beast, and I don't, because you play so many tough guys, but I never really considered you for Dr. King.
You almost like a typecast in some regards for the tougher guy roles, you know, the bad guy.
But I play more good guys than bad guys.
You play more good guys? I seem to catch all the bad guys.
That's correct.
I don't care the tough guy look. I'm buffed. I got the little.
Yeah, you buff, but you don't carry the
I don't
tough
care.
guy.
I got the look. I got that little country boy look.
No,
I'm trying to get out of it.
You trying to get out of it. You want to be the
You
tough
got a
guy.
nice,
Yeah, I want to be the tough guy.
clean cut guy.
You know, I remember Denzel said he did an interview when he did the cyber thing where he was chasing the cyber criminal.
Yeah.
No, he was the bad guy. No, the movie he played the bad guy. And they asked him, he said, why? He said, why do you, no, there was a cyber. He said,
It was a Maximilian.
Right. He said, he says, if you had your choice of roles, which would you prefer? He said, I would have preferred the bad guy.
The bad guy.
I think you have more fun than the bad guy.
Sure do.
Yeah.
And people love to hate the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you guys in the studio. I know you play opens on the 28th, right?
Yeah.
On the 28th? Yeah. And,
Let me get you. I don't know any date.
so all you know is you just have to be
They
wherever
just
you
say, she said you have to be there. Yeah.
point you in a direction and you go.
We've been on the road. I don't even know what day it is. Is it Wednesday or Tuesday?
Today's
Today is
Today's Tuesday.
Made me nervous.
Where are you originally from?
DC.
You're from D.C.?
Yeah.
Marvin's from D.C., right? Your family? How about you, Tony?
North Carolina.
No, North Khaki. Where in
Yes,
North?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, good town. We got family there. We got folks that listen to and watch down in Charlotte.
Oh, hey y'all.
I'm finishing up.
How you been doing?
Finishing up these commercials so we can talk without interruption. You know, I got to pay the bills. If I don't pay the bills, I can't get y'all in here. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and then we can't get that good breakfast.
Yeah,
I
we
heard
got some
about.
breakfast. We got some breakfast over there, buddy. We try to do it upright. You know, we try to hook a brother and a sister up. You know, because when we come to people's places, we expect them to treat us right. You know, that's the way you're supposed to do it. And see, we figure we get you to smile a little bit more if you know you got some food coming.
That's right.
Now, if you don't smile, you don't get your food.
And get that food first. We're gonna be doing more than smile. We're gonna be grinning.
Heavens Excited at heavensexcited.com. Our guest in the studio. We're having a little fun kicking it just a little bit. Hey, want to remind you, it's time to start booking your seats for the Heavens Excited Summer Cruise Series. Kicks off with the Mother's Day Cruise with Monica Lisa Stevenson.
I love it. It's a setup for mode.
Only one. Yeah. Heavens Excited. All right, our guest in the studio now. We were talking about breakfast, so I need to slide this in because I got to pay this last bill before we talk, gang. Is that all right?
That's fine.
All right, got to pay this last bill. Right now, at McDonald's, you can get 2 Egg McMuffin sandwiches for just $3. 2 for $3. The iconic sandwich made with a freshly cracked egg, extra lean Canadian bacon, and a slice of melted American cheese in between a freshly toasted English muffin. You can get 2 now for just $3. 2 for $3. That's right, 2 for $3. The Egg McMuffin of deals, I call it the international deal because of the American cheese, the English muffin, and the Canadian bacon. Get it now for a limited time at participating area McDonald's. Stage right. Hey, where y'all looking at? Y'all looking at over there? Hey, look, we've got our guest in the studio. First, of course, we have Ziola Gaye, the sister of the late Marvin Gaye. She's with us. Ziola, say good morning.
Good morning.
So good to have you
It's
with
so good
us.
to be here.
First time getting a chance to meet you, and I've already fallen in love with you.
Oh.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah. So, and also joined us, Tony.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Tony
sir. Good
Grant.
morning. Good morning. How are you?
All right, and I'm not gonna say infamous. I was teasing him. I said he always plays bad guys. He said I play more good guys than bad guys. Clifton Powell. Hey,
How y'all doing this morning?
all right, now Clifton's voice a little rough, but don't think he's trying to be cool. He's not trying to be cool. He's trying to save his voice.
Hold on to my voice.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Glad you guys could come and be with us. First and foremost, we thank you for coming to Baltimore with the play about your brother. And the first question that comes to mind, it appears you have a story to tell. Why did it take so long?
Well, it took so long because I wasn't mentally and physically prepared to do it until I was able to, because, I was addicted to drugs. I was on drugs at the time. I had to make sure that I was clean and then I could think, correctly.
Yeah.
So it was a long process, and as I was trying to do it years ago when I was doing drugs, nothing was gelling.
Wouldn't come together.
I was just, things was just scattered in my brain. And once I finally decided to do this, and I sat down, and I just felt it was time to do it, and I was able to get it out.
I want to remind, let me just interject, if you would like to see our guest, you can check out the webcast at heaven600.com. Ziola, what was it like growing up, you and Marvin?
You know what? Marvin was always my protector.
Okay.
It was just always my brother. It was like, I couldn't look at him any other way except this is my brother.
Were there other siblings?
Yeah, it was 4 of us.
Okay.
My brother Frankie and my sister Jean and me, the youngest, and they all treated me like the baby, as my father told them to do. Give her anything she wanted, and I took advantage of that. So they all treated me like I was their toy. They would throw me up in the air on blankets, and we'd slide down the steps. I mean, it was like, I was the baby, and so they treated me as such, and I totally took advantage of it.
Now, a lot of people didn't know and may not know that you guys actually grew up in D.C., right?
D.C. is home.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. How did it start for Marvin? When did the first sign of this career actually start materializing?
You mean his career or his talent?
His talent. Let's start
Okay.
with the talent.
We knew Marvin had talent because we grew up in the church. It was like 2 families, and I should have known something then, because Marvin always sang solos and the rest of us were in choir. It's like, okay, there's something going on here. What? So just from church and then school plays, and he would always play the leading role. I remember one play, Prince and the Pea. And he was the prince, and from that point on, he sang in everything dealing with school, programs and stuff like that. And then as he started a group in D.C. Called the Marquis, and from that point on, Harvey Fuqua saw the group and took him and the rest of the group to Detroit.
Was the group a talent show or something?
Yeah. They would do
Okay.
talent shows or little club
Yeah.
gigs,
Engagements.
yeah. And Harvey saw them, and he decided to let the Moonglows go that he had, and he took on the Marquis. And when they went to Detroit, the rest is history. Barry heard them, and
Now, is it any truth, and I'm coming to our guest here because there's an interesting connect here, particularly with one of the actors. Is there any truth that Marvin used to record laying down? He would record songs laying down?
I thought that was absolutely amazing, to sing lying down.
He preferred singing lying down.
And with his gum in his mouth, he chewed gum all the time. And he just laid there, and the the notes come out, and it's like no problems. I mean, he was talented. He was gifted. It was just a gift from God.
And now fast forward, we've got the play, and you get a chance to share the story, the sweet as well as the not too sweet.
Oh, yeah. I do it all.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, and like I tell people, if you're not going to do it and tell the whole truth, then why do it?
That's a good point. Now, connect these gentlemen. First Clifton, he's also from D.C. I just found out.
Yeah, he told me he lived up the street
I
from
grew
him.
up down the street from Marvin Gaye.
Are you serious?
I'm kind of glad I didn't know it, though, because I would have been at his house every day. For real.
Eating cereal.
Eating cereal. Hey, Marvin, come on out, man. Holler at me.
Come on, holler. Yeah, that is amazing.
I grew up, you guys grew up on one side of the tracks and south, like near Kelly Miller.
Yeah.
Yep, and I grew up and on the other side. I mean, it's really amazing.
That is amazing. And here, all these many years later, you're actually in a presentation depicting
this is really one of the most special things I've ever done. I mean, I think I was watching the scene the other day because Tony plays the middle-aged Marvin, and watching him at the piano the other day with the lights coming down, I felt like I was watching Ray.
Wow.
And I haven't been anything as special as Ray since doing this. Is like a peak experience because it's like Marvin's spirit is right in the room and rehearsal.
So it's surreal. It's surreal.
Every time, I told Zio the other day, every time I turn on Pandora, like you go to like Marvin Gaye Radio or the Dells, and you never get any Dell songs. Like 3 songs in, you get a Dell song. Because like on Pandora, they have Dell Radio.
Yeah.
So every time I go to Marvin Gaye, I never get a Marvin Gaye song. But in the last month, every time I go to Pandora, Marvin starts out the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm looking around because his spirit is. When you see the show, you really understand how we feel. It's just really a wonderful experience.
Well, let me share something with you. You won't have that kind of a challenge if you go to iHeartRadio. If you go to iHeartRadio,
all right,
that's our baby. iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
You can put together your Marvin Gaye playlist.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
iHeartRadio. It's a free download. Did I get that in? Did I get it in?
You got that in.
You got that in?
Tony, you played the middle-aged Marvin?
Correct.
All right. So tell us a little bit about those years.
Well, those years that I am presenting of Marvin Gaye's life is during the time he was at Motown and married to the boss's sister, Anna Gordy.
A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
He
was married to Anna Gordy.
He was in the family.
He was in the family.
Yeah.
His checks were good.
Yeah.
And so, right.
Yeah.
So I'm playing that part in the play where he is goes through his conflicts with Barry Gordy. They have creative conflicts. And it's
like, get up off the chair, Marvin.
Right.
Sick. Nah,
and
man, I'm cool.
I want to go back to what you were saying earlier, too, about Marvin laying on his back singing. That's my favorite. And that's actually the advice I give to people that are striving to use their diaphragm and sing.
Oh,
really?
really?
Lay on their back. That's what I do. It's the exact same thing.
Amazing. So now, then tell us, what's the secret with that?
Well, it forces you to use your diaphragm. It forces you. I do it like in a sit-up position. Put my knees up, and tuck my head forward, and sing. It forces the diaphragm. Takes it off the throat.
I just learned something.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a preacher. I'm gonna see if I can preach like that.
You do that. You do that.
Well, preachers and singers have to train the same way.
That's true. That's why I said it.
Have to really use those diaphragm muscles to really get that sound out.
One of the first things I learned as a preacher is if you don't use your diaphragm, you will have frequent visits with hoarseness.
Yes, and throat doctors.
And throat doctors.
Like that. And thank God I've not had to do that.
Good.
At all. Once. I've been blessed to be able to continue to move forward singing each and every night. I've been doing theater now for like 24 or 25 years.
Amazing.
So God is good.
Yes, He is.
Yes, He is.
He's better than that. So how did the play come about? Now, we know, you had your personal challenges and demons that you had to overcome and exercise. And now you got past that. And, so where did you start? Somebody just walk up on you and say, hey, Phil, I got a great idea. Let's do a play. Or what happened?
Really, it was almost like that. There was a play out earlier, and I wasn't real happy with it, and then the producer of that play contacted me, and he said, would you come on board and help us? So my whole thing was, I knew I was going to do a book.
Okay.
I wasn't giving anybody the whole story.
All right.
So I went on board for a little while, and it was horrible. It was real bad. So I bowed out. And once I bowed out, there was this gentleman who had booked that show. And when he found out that the show was out, he contacted me and he said, Zeola, what about doing another play and your story? And he flew
Which
out.
means you have creative liberty.
Yeah, I definitely have a right to talk about my family.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can take that from me. It's,
Right.
That's
Nobody knows
given.
a story like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did, and he got me on the phone, and the playwright, Angela Barr Dunlap, and I gave him just a little history, and he said, Angie, can you work with that? And she said, oh, yes. So he flew my partner and I out, my manager, to Detroit. We sat down for a month, went over it, and that's how my Brother Marvin materialized.
Wow.
That was like about 6 or 7 years ago. This time, it's still called My Brother Marvin, but this time it's about, I talk more about the family, Marvin, the man behind the music.
Okay.
We all know Marvin's music. It's not a Motown story. It's basically a family story with all the dynamics between Marvin and my brother, and Marvin and my father. And
which was going to be my next question. How was that relationship? One would think that because of the way things ended, that there was tension in that relationship. Was that the case?
There was tension, but there was love too. My brother always loved my father, and my father loved Marvin, but there was problems of addiction and running in the house.
Okay.
You know, and
so
they both suffered
not
from
your
it.
situation, not just
No.
you, but others.
Yeah, because I thought I was handling it and like they thought they was handling it, but apparently they were not. And things happen. Things happen not only in my family, but other families also. And I think people, when they see this play, they can relate with some of the things. I just want to show that my family was dysfunctional, but like a lot of other families.
So,
you know?
so let me see if I'm getting this right. In sharing this story, you are hoping to connect with families whose story may mirror your family's story outside of the realm of the fame and everything, but just the family.
Exactly, and to learn something from it. To, you know, if you see this, you know, get some help for the people that you love. You know, I wasn't able to, and you know, I want them, if they can go away knowing that they saw something and it's somebody that they love in their family that they can help, that they would reach out and help that person.
Clifton, what did you learn about the dad? Because one of the things I notice about actors and actresses is that you have to acquaint yourself with your character so much so that you almost develop familiarity with their personality. What did you learn about Daddy Gaye in embracing this role?
Well, one of the things that his kids really didn't know, he had a brain tumor that kind of controlled, it was on the side of his brain that kind of controlled some of his emotions.
Okay.
And he kind of kept that quiet, you know, because he's from the old school, you know, you didn't whine and complain. And then he had a tough childhood. His mother had 13 children and 10 boys.
Wow.
And his mother was tough on him and was, you know, and I think that as an actor, one of the things that I try to do is try not to show father as a monster. Right. You know, we all who grew up the old school way, don't spare the rod with a child.
Right.
You know,
right.
And I have a 15-year-old who's just like Marvin. He's brilliant and he's out the box. and when I say out the box, meaning that he's so creative and his mind, if everybody else goes left, he's gonna go right because
so
he sees a different.
He's got radical.
No, he's not rebellious. Marvin was a genius at 5.
Yeah.
And old school parents, myself, they know how to handle that because it wasn't a time when you just sit and talk with a kid. Like I've had to go back to the books about my son because I resort to the same way they did us. Shut up, do it the way I said it. Yeah. And you get a spank.
Not taking into account this uniqueness of the individual.
Yeah, so I think father was a culprit of that also. The way we were raised is that you didn't talk back. If the parents, and so father didn't mean any harm with, you know, being a disciplinarian, you know. But father never like beat them brutally. His father's thing was, I'm gonna spank you on your bottom.
Yeah.
He didn't take when we used to get spankings, man, they go all over your body.
Yeah.
Father was real clear that he was. So I'm trying to portray him as a man who was flawed, but that he wasn't a monster. Okay. And I think I'm conflicted sometimes, and maybe Ziola might get mad at me. I hope she doesn't. But I really feel like Father, on some levels, even though it was a contradiction because he had his own flaws. Yeah. But Father always said, if you live in that secular world, we all live in a secular world, and I got to tell you, I think we're seeing a collide of the secular world versus the religious world, because there's some things happening in the religious world that shouldn't be there with all kinds of things we hear in the news.
That's correct.
But Father's vision for Marvin was to live in that more spiritual world where maybe Marvin might not have gone through the things he went through. That's what I think as an actor, playing Father, So sometimes when I come at Marvin and I say, "Where's God, Marvin?" I really do mean, "Where's God, Marvin?" All the things that you got caught up in the secular world. So it really is. Father's very layered and it's complex.
That is so profound what you said, and I just want to back you up a second because there should be some distinction, I guess, to paraphrase what you were saying, some distinction between that which is professed to be embracing the spiritual reality of our existence versus that which has embraced the carnal or natural or physical reality of our existence. And in many regards, I agree. The church has, in its attempt to convince itself that it's reaching out to try to bring folk in, has actually compromised itself and said, "I want to be accepted by you."
Right.
Right. And so in trying to be accepted by the world, we lose some of what makes us different. And so now Marvin, he grew up in the church. The story is not different. We just saw with Whitney. A lot of talented people grow up in the church, but they are influenced by what the secular realm or the world has to offer, because the perception is you can't get that doing gospel. But you can get something that is more valuable than money. Based on your spiritual beliefs, and sometimes that's why the scripture says, "What profit a man if he gain the world and lose his soul?" And I've heard that Marvin fought with his personal demons.
He did.
Is that correct?
That's very correct. And you'll see that in the play. I don't cut corners at all. The play actually portrays what actually went on.
Tell it like it is.
And he had personal demons near the end, and he also didn't want to live. He felt he had completed his task on earth, and he was ready to go home, and he did it the way that he knew it would happen, and that was to challenge my father.
So you're suggesting that in an odd sort of a way it was premeditated?
Oh, definitely. It's like climbing the steps. Marvin climbed the steps and antagonized my father to that point. That's why I want people to see it, because a lady saw the play the other day and she wrote me about it, and she said, "Ziola, I hated your father for years, but after seeing your play, I understand."
That's amazing.
And that's what I want people to get from this. They need to understand what happens in one's childhood that can lead up to
the layers of events and emotions.
And it's not easy telling it. It's not easy for me to sit there and watch it, but I had to do it because I want people to know and learn, from it.
This is amazing.
Can I expound on that? One of the challenges with having I'm going to say a creatively gifted child is the difficulty of learning how to raise that child, and then the fact that if you come at that child, and that's from being athletic to being a singer to being whatever. If you come at that child and you come at him in a negative, he's going to rebel to prove you wrong.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that the challenge. And I can say that I faced this challenge myself in my own life, because growing up in North Carolina, my type of gift is rare.
Okay.
I
hear you.
It's rare coming out of the woods in North Carolina. So you face that challenge of I always grew up in the church, but I always had a secular style of singing. I didn't have that gritty gospel,
that churchy.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I never had it. So when I would sing, I was already labeled. Oh, you sound like the world. You sound like what they doing, and that kind of thing. But
yet my heart ostracize you.
Big time, big time. So my heart was in the Lord.
Okay.
So it got me to a place where I said, you know what? If somebody said, you know what, you're not gonna ever do anything, you know, good, blah blah blah. My rebellion on that was, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Right.
So you battle that conflict, but yet that individual or individuals that you really want to believe in you, you set out now. Maybe your motives are wrong or whatever, but you set out to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And yet the world embraces you, but you still want this over here to embrace you.
I hear you.
You see what I'm saying? You still want father or mother or auntie or
so cousin. In the midst of success, there's still conflict.
There's conflict.
A lack of fulfillment. I get all of this fame, I get all these gold records, I make all this money, but I'm unfulfilled.
I'm unfulfilled because the very one that I want to accept me is still not convinced.
Yeah.
Still not there. So it's a difficult conflict internally. Mm-hmm. So I get where Marvin's conflict was tremendously. I get it because I've been in that place at a younger age, but now I've accepted the fact that, you know, God, you're the one that gave me this gift.
Yeah.
You opened up the doors for me, whether it be secular or whether it be spiritual. You opened the doors. It's my job to hold on to my foundation and just walk right on in.
Right. I think that's key. Hold on to your foundation, which translates into hold on to those values that help make you who you are.
I love the scripture where it says God takes the foolish things of this world
to
confound the wise.
Yeah.
You know, because we're part of the world. We're in this world,
but
we're not part of the world. We're not of the world,
right?
But we're in it. But you would look at a singer that grew up in the church and say, it's foolish for you to go over there and sing this song over there at this place or that place, but you never know who you might touch. You don't know what people are going through. And so when God gave Marvin what's going on, it totally changed the world.
It seemed like, I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I'm Marvin Gaye era. I grew up, you know, 60s Motown, whole thing, him, Tammy, you know, ain't nothing like and all that. And yet, after that brief exodus, because of the unfortunate tax situation and everything, when he came back, it seemed like his music went to a whole new level. Is that safe to say? It seemed like he went to a whole new level.
That's why I have 3 Marvins.
You have 3 Marvins in the play. Oh, okay.
Because he did. He went to a different level from the young Marvin, even from the kid Marvin who's played by Harvey here.
Okay.
And then it goes into Tony. He's on a totally different level. And then after what's going on, he evolved into somebody different. It was almost like once God really touched him, you know, he became a different Marvin. I mean, there were so many levels of Marvin.
And there seemed to be not only a social but a spiritual consciousness that was constantly in conflict in those latter years. You talk about what's going on. That sounds like somebody looking around and seeing stuff that he had maybe seen 1,000,000 times, but all of a sudden now he's seeing it differently. He's seeing it differently.
He's seeing it the way it really was.
Yeah.
And you know, through God's help and who
mercy me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You know, so I mean, it is really a compelling and interesting story, and I applaud all of you for coming together to present this, and it's going to be here in Baltimore. How many cities have you hit?
So far, just 2. So far, we opened.
Oh, so we're getting it fresh. This bread is just out the oven.
That's right. So far, we did a week. We did a week in Detroit. We just left Philadelphia, and now we're here in your great city of Baltimore.
Okay, I like how you said that. But we're the Super Bowl champs.
Oh wow!
Did I mention that?
Yeah.
Did I mention that?
Wow.
Did I mention that? I'm sorry.
I gotta clear my throat on that.
Don't worry about it. I'll let you clear my throat.
No, we're proud of it.
Yeah, very proud. I'm happy for Ray Lewis. Very happy.
Yeah. And you know, there is something. If I could just kind of shift a little bit, and we had a conversation about this, a group of clergy, yesterday. It's amazing how when a central character professes a passion and love for God, how he draws so much attention to him, both positive and negative. I had people saying, I'll be glad when this Super Bowl is over because I'm just sick and tired of Ray Lewis. Translation is of all this attention that Ray was getting.
Yeah, but Ray deserved all that attention, man. Ray, the way I look at it, I like the Ravens, but I'm a Redskin fan.
Sure, and you guys are on the way. You guys are on the way.
50-year Reds, but we pull because it's the area,
Right. I hear you.
Ray went through all that, legal stuff, and it changed his life. And the same thing we're talking about with Marvin. Marvin went away for 4 years and got himself in a different spiritual place to try to, because being an entertainer and trying to hold on to all the fame and the pomp and the ceremony, and then trying to keep your personal relationships in order, and then trying to find where you are, and then you're dealing with any kind of substance abuse. It's a lot to handle. And I think that Marvin went away for 4 years, came back refreshed, cleaned himself up, and went away from his troubles, at least in his mind, because the troubles never really went away. Same thing happened to Ray. Ray changed his life after that. And I think he played the game at 150% all the time. And I think he went out. That was his retirement year, and I think he went out on top as a king, and he should have. But there are a lot of people that are just haters, and just. Want to find the hate in
something
everything.
Wrong.
Something's always wrong. And hey, man, I think you have to get to a point where you don't. It's like this play. We're not apologizing for this play. We here to touch people. And the lady said to me the other day, she said, I was just a little disappointed in a few things. I said, man, but did you get the message? She said, yeah, I got the message. That's what you're supposed to do. Our job. So
because some people, unfortunately, human nature, some people can't help but find something negative to grab hold to, because that emulates a frustration that is going on inside of them concerning their own lives. They are familiar with frustration, so they must seek frustration.
And I want to say this, that people, probably need to know that my sister and I ran across my mother and my father's journals that they kept. And there are things I'm bringing out in this play to shed light on my mother and father and their relationship and their relationship that needed to be known. And I felt that was very important, because if you don't know the background, you can't understand, the ending.
So this is so rich. So you guys are going to be here for how long?
3 days.
About 3 days.
4 days.
4 days.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
March 28th, we got one show at 8 p.m. That's on Thursday. We got March 1st on the at 8 p.m. It's on Friday. We got 2 shows Saturday, 3 and 8 p.m. Then we got 2 on Sunday.
Awesome. Listen, before we
got one
on Sunday.
At 3 p.m.
Okay. Before we leave, we're going to come back. I got to take a break real quick. I'm really enjoying this. First off, see, all I told you, I just like art. Yeah. I like her. Yeah. That's not to slight you guys.
Yeah, she likes you.
Yeah. Praise God. But when we come back, we'll recap everything and kind of finish it up. I've got to pay a few bills. You know, I want to have a job after y'all leave. If that's okay.
That's all
right.
This traffic report is brought to you by Maryland Home and Garden Show. The Maryland Home and Garden Show, sponsored by MT Bank.
We'll be right back. We've got our guests in the studio. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. We're going to come right back to you in just a few minutes. I got to pay some bills. Here's a little piece from Kirk Franklin.
You're clear.
Thank you. That was good, gang. That was good.
Thank you. I think about the conflict. It was because he didn't just have the conflict of, wanting love from his father or his family. He was dealing with the conflict of, I want to be able to say something to the world that could change the world, because I'm seeing my brother and my family go through conflict. My dad is up preaching every Sunday.
Your dad's a preacher?
I heard that. My mother's a preacher.
Okay. Oh, your dad was a preacher?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I didn't even miss. Oh, well, we can come back and hit that piece. Okay, so you guys were PKs. Amazing. Amazing.
So when I think about that, all of that in there, you know, because I know for me sometimes I sit in my room and but before I started doing theater, I was sitting in my room and I was playing football and I was modeling and I was doing all these things. I was asking myself questions like, how am I helping? How am I helping the world? And I hear my mother's voice and my grandparents' voice. Boy, that ain't it. That ain't it. You ain't helping nobody. That ain't it. You know, and I would always hear their voice, and I remember everything I've ever done, she supported it. But when I got in theater, my mother went against it so strong. Oh my Lord. Ooh, she was like, no, 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 no. You're not going on that road like that. I was in my 20s. I was like, Mom, I'm grown. What are you talking about? She said, no, no. She went against it. And I mean, strongly went against it.
Because she had that view of it.
Well, she used to sing with Shirley Caesar, so she knew what that road thing was about.
Okay.
I mean, I had been on the road, but not like that.
Okay.
I mean, playing football, you know, modeling, different things like that.
Not play football for
University of Tennessee.
Okay.
So not doing like that, where I was going to be on the road for months at a time. So she was just so invested, but when she came to see me, and she saw how God was using me, oh, she sat and cried through the whole thing. I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. Because she was on the front row, and you could just hear her loud. And the funny stuff, she cried. They was like, what is that?
Crying.
So it was embarrassing, but then once she came and she saw, she was fine. But it was getting to that point of approval for me.
And that was almost like that when he finally came to my high school, which was what's going on, and he was playing the whole album for the Brooklyn Times. And you see everything he said, he came out with his first show that he ever attended. And that's when his whole thing changed as far as career goes. And he loved it. He was blessed with this bliss. There's nothing and available 24/7. See, these are things that people don't know. He loved Marvin singing West Marvin.
Did she do that?
Yes.
He loved it?
He just had to stand on his
The only
principle.
thing is, he hated being thrown, basically, in the house. But Marvin never breathed power.
Sure.
That's about it.
And so there was a
Marvin had
little
power. My
insecurity.
father became jealous. There was jealousy. Yeah.
But see, I deal with that. I have an older brother. So I didn't know my dad until I was 18 years old, but I have an older brother, and my mother always told him, you're the man of the house. So he took that literally. So with me, my gifts being a little more, oh, he couldn't, and he still struggles with it. He couldn't adjust it because his thing was, I'm the oldest. I'm supposed to be more, you know, advanced.
Instead of accepting the fact,
1 minute.
Okay, accepting the fact that, you know what, that's my seed.
Yes, we can share in this.
Yes, yes.
And my uncles used to tell my mother when my brother would act out, you know, my uncles used to say, this is your fault. You put him in that position.
I've got 2.5 minutes in
And then for
commercials.
younger brothers, I'm not
Sure, they get me and I'm coming to you in 30 seconds.
Still do it.
Well, camera was on a music video, so we were okay, but it's coming back in a minute. What we do is we throw music videos in there to break it up. So when I went to the commercials, we went to video. Because nobody wants to listen to me playing commercials, watch me playing commercials.
You're live.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. Tony, you said you played football. What position? Man?
Yes, sir. Free safety and running back.
Free safety and running.
I was a little short man. Yeah, I was a little bitty man.
220?
Who? Me, 220? No, I've never been that way.
How much you weigh?
I'm like 190.
And you play running back?
I play running
back. Small running back.
I can run, but
okay.
down to a good.
You can scat.
Good day.
Yeah, you can scat.
4-1. I can get down there.
You get to a 4-1.
I used to. That was years ago, but
that's flying.
yes, sir. I had world class.
Did you ever consider? Were you ever considered for
the Olympics
level?
I was. I was considered. Watch this. I was considered by 2 teams I can't stand, and then the 1 team I love. I was considered by Pittsburgh Steelers and Washington Redskins.
Well, I share I share your hatred for the Steelers.
Yes, sir. Yeah. But I was considered by the Dallas Cowboys, which was my favorite team. But then I got. Oh wow.
But you had an injury?
Wow. The rivals. I mean,
what happened?
Redskins.
She's talking about she hates the
Cowboys. Rivals.
I know this one over here. I already.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's an RG3 man.
Yeah. I'm RG3, 4, 5, and 6 man.
How about you, man? Did you play any sports?
I used to get a swimsuit mom.
A swimsuit mom?
You was on the bus? Calvin Klein?
You said that was your sport, right?
No, honestly, I want to be a football player. I want to be I grew up with the old Redskins with Bobby Mitchell, Charlie Taylor,
Sonny
Jurgensen, Roy Jefferson.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be like Charlie Taylor.
And Charlie Taylor was the man.
Charlie Taylor was
he was the man.
Sam Huff, Chris Hamburg. And I don't know, I got into acting by happenstance, but I really wanted to be a football player. And then my nephew's the sportscaster James Brown. JB, I'm JB's uncle.
Okay.
So JB was a big time basketball star. So then I said I was gonna play basketball, but I was like 5'6", and I was dreadful. I wasn't bad, I was dreadful. So when I transferred from one school to the other, they didn't have a football team, so I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I saw play. I got in, I just did it.
And you just got to play.
I just did the play because there wasn't nothing else to do. They had football, and I was horrible at basketball. John Thompson was my high school coach.
Yeah. Wow.
So I couldn't make basketball teams. So I was just trying to find something. And I come out the hood, I never seen a play. I was like, what is that? They said, that's a play. I was like, all right, try that.
Amazing. So it was in school?
It was in St. Anthony's High School. That's how I got started.
St. Anthony, which now still has a pretty good basketball program.
Yeah.
One of the better AAU areas in the country is Baltimore, Washington, and Virginia. I mean, a lot of ball players come through the AAU programs here, man. They do a great job. You got Camilo, you got Kevin Durant, Rudy Gay, big names in the NBA today that came through the AAU program here in this area. Well, we're finding out all kinds of stuff. I'm finding out stuff here. Tony was a football player and thought he was going to get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. and Clifton thought he was going to be his nephew. His nephew is sportscaster James Brown, who we see on a regular basis here. Matter of fact, he is elevated to national status. Has his own program on, I think it's Showtime, the NFL program, and it's not real. Do you stay in touch with him?
He coming to the show next week.
Really?
Yeah, my whole family, high school, my whole neighborhood in Mayfair. I grew up.
I can't get no.
Do you get it? That's why you can't get no tickets.
I got family in DC too.
We're trying to get. Lynn Whitfield's playing the mother. She's trying to get President Obama.
Yeah.
So if him and Michelle are listening,
goodness.
Listen, I'm telling you, right now, I don't know if the president is listening, but this show right here is on another level, man. Drama.
Amazing.
It's not just a musical, but it's really a really searing, moving, and inspirational drama. Yeah.
And we're getting glimpses of some of the
complexities.
Yeah, the complexities of the family's life and experience, and a few nuggets here. And I'm assuming that there must be more. You shared with me, and I did not know that your dad was a preacher. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my father was a phenomenal preacher at the time. My father used to
Was he pastoring or just a preacher?
No, he was a pastor. He was a bishop. In the religion we were raised in, it goes from reverend to bishop, then archbishop.
Okay.
My father was a bishop, and because he was so good, he was in line to become the archbishop, which would be over all the Pentecostal churches. But they were against Marvin singing secular music. So my father resigned from the position
because
so
of
Marvin could, pursue his career.
Amazing.
And
is it safe to say that there may have been some resentment by Dad that he gave up what was his passion?
That was that's the biggest position you can have in the Pentecostal church. It's almost like being the Pope.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say there was probably some resentment and some jealousy there, but he did that for Marvin. And he felt that Marvin did not, maybe appreciate.
I was going to ask, did it appear that Marvin appreciated? Was even sensitive?
But again, I have to go back to, the addiction. him being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And the brain tumor.
That was his drug of choice, alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't think things out, and he was jealous. You know, I can't get around that. Like I said earlier, Marvin was powerful because he had money, and money brings power. Yeah. Marvin became the head of the house, basically.
Okay. Yeah, because
basically
he had the means to take care. Right, he could take care.
He bought the cars, and he took care of everybody.
Yeah.
So my father did not like being demoted to his position that he had to take in the household.
What about your mother? I'm hearing a lot about Marvin and your dad, but what about your mother? How does she work this obvious tension that was in the family? How does she fit in?
My mother was one of the most beautiful woman you could ever meet. She was very, very spiritual, very forgiving. She was the glue that held things together in my household. She knew how to handle my father, you know, in her way. She was a praying woman. She sat and sang spirituals all day, but she loved us, and Marvin loved her. She and Marvin were extremely close. You know, they had their own special relationship. And she supported Marvin in everything that he did from the very beginning. She didn't care if he sang secular music, gospel, or whatever.
So that's my baby.
That's my baby. And she was the one that held things together. You know, absolutely phenomenal.
How did it impact her, the events that brought the untimely end to the life of Marvin?
It killed her, basically. She once we found out she had cancer, it went into remission, and Marvin was able to do that last tour. And when she saw what happened, because she was the only one who witnessed the actual
She actually saw it.
Yeah, she was right there. The cancer came out of remission, and not only did she die from cancer, but she died from a broken heart.
Oh my!
You know, to lose a child is devastating to any parent.
Yeah.
But to actually see it happen, was more than anybody could ever explain.
Did you ever, and I'm assuming you did, and then we're going to close out because I know you guys have got to go, and we brought a little treat for you once you grab a little something for you.
Can't wait.
I know. We bought it for you. In the aftermath of the tragedy, did you get a chance to go visit your dad and talk with him and get a chance to hear his thoughts about everything that played out?
As a matter of fact, I was the only one because the day it happened, you know, with so much going on, it's like everything just fell in my lap. You know, I'm like, hey,
the baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hey guys, hello, here, you know, but everybody kind of went their own way. And Marvin had really talked to me, and he really taught me a lot. He made me grow up the last 2 years of my life. And what happened, all of this is in my book, so you guys got to get my book because it goes more into detail.
I will.
Someone came up to me while we were at the police station, and I had to announce to everybody that Marvin didn't make it. You know, and the whole police station, I mean, everybody there was, the screams were unreal. I'll always hear that when I said when I had to tell my mom he didn't make it. And right at that point, after, you know, calling my mother and comforting her, one of Marvin's ex-security guards came up to me and he said, Viola, I know this is a bad time, but somebody has to see about your father, you know.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I'll deal with that tomorrow. So I was the one who had to get the lawyers, and I went to court, you know, with him every time he went to court. Jet wanted to do an interview. I went with them to do an interview with him while he was in prison. I mean, in jail, because he never went to prison because, you know, the charges were dropped to manslaughter as opposed to first-degree murder. And so I had to take care of him, and of course, he was in shock, and, you know, he kind of reverted back to childhood, sort of, you know.
In what way?
Well, like he didn't know what to do. You know, you had to tell him to eat. You had to tell him to put some clothes on, or we're going to go here, go there. And that happens with a lot of parents. Not even if they didn't kill anybody. But when your parents get older, you kind of the roles start to be reversed.
That's correct.
You know? Even with my mom, when she was sick, in taking care of her, it was like I was the mother, you know. So I definitely helped my father through all of everything he went through up until his passing.
Guys, in closing, what do you think is going to be we know that it's a two-part question. What do you think is going to be your major contribution to the roles that you play, and what will you take from this role with you when it's all over? Tony?
I believe that my major contribution to this is the message that, you know, you have to, we get the opportunity to show the public the conflicts of flesh and spirit, the battle that takes place, your own personal desires versus the desires that God has for your life and the destiny that He has for your life. And I love this whole story. I'm so intrigued by it, because one of the things that I'm finding out, just that me as a man, men are territorial. Yeah. That is what we are. It's in us. We're territorial, and when we are married or have a girlfriend, that's our territory. So it's very difficult for us to let another man come in and take our territory.
I hear you.
Whether it be son,
you
know what I'm saying, or whether it be brother, whoever. It's hard to let another man, and I think that's could have been part of the conflict with Father and Marvin. Marvin was a little more successful than Father was, and it's kind of, I'm sure that had to be a little tough on the ego a little bit to go, okay, my son
did better than me.
Doing better than me, and he's and looking at the shining light that my wife is giving off. You know what I'm saying? That had to be difficult. So it's making me look at things a little different myself, because I'm that way. You can't, you know, if I'm around, can't no other man open the door for my wife. That's me. You can't have my position. I have to take charge of my own space. And I love this because it challenges men. It challenges men. Come on, brothers, get up off the couch, put the remote down, because another brother does not need to go and buy your woman roses.
Come on, you better tell it. You better tell it.
It's you that need to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I take from it. I love it.
Okay. All right. How about you, Cliff?
Well, you know,
that's okay. It's all right.
That's how deep this is.
What's deep?
It's deep.
Clifton was kind of overtaken by the moment. He was overtaken by the moment.
And he does it every night. It's almost like it's fresh every night when they do it. And I'm overtaken, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I find myself getting emotional watching scenes, or when Miss Ziola comes up and she speaks. Oh, it hits me hard, and I can only I can try to put myself there, but I can only imagine, you know, only imagine the conflict, or how you're torn, you know, emotionally. So I commend her. She's an amazing, powerful woman to step up and deliver this message. And God he's gonna bless. He's already blessing, but He's gonna continue to bless and take you to higher heights.
And I think you know, we started off, and I guess this is a fitting way to close. We started off by asking the question, why now? And
I had to take a second, because
that's okay. We understood.
My father, in his life, became like a little kid. It just touched me. And then the way I grew up, looking at Mama's life, I had a tough childhood.
Okay.
And so many different parallels. I think we did this show 6 years ago, and it was so powerful. I mean, a lot of forces that are trying to keep us from doing this show.
Okay.
And
that's what lets you know you're on the right track.
Yeah. And we often say when God gets His hands in it, you can't really stop it. So
that's right.
This entity in this room right here is so special to us, because 6 years ago when we all came together, I came on board as the father, and then I ended up directing, and with a week and a half to put the show up, and we got stuck one night, and me and Tony put his stuff in there. He was incredible as Marvin. We didn't know if he was going to be around in the beginning, you know.
Wow.
And then, we got to tell it. And he just studied so hard. And then one night we got stuck because the script was, the story was there. And then we sat down and we had to rearrange some things. And me, Barbara, Angela Barrow, and Ziola set up all night one night. 3 days before the show opened.
Before the opening?
Before the opening. This was 6 years ago. And put together the show that you guys are going to see with some slight changes. And there's some big changes that, you know, incorporating some of Ziola's mother and father's story into what we had. Because we knew we had a great show. And now it's even more powerful. So it's so personal to us, especially in this room. And Angela Barrow, I know she's listening. And for me, going back to coming to Baltimore and going back to D.C. last year was a really tough year for me.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
And when they called me and said we're going to do this show, I was like, man, if the world gets a chance to see this show, it'll change your life, you know. And when I'm directing also this show.
Okay.
And so when I'm directing these young folks, I tell them, don't look outside of your own life. Like Marvin's life was so different than some of the things that we've gone through. And that's why it's so emotional, because we all are just one accident away from being with Marvin was.
So you saw.
And we can't judge. We have to, and that's why this show is so powerful, because Ziola has shared so many beautiful things about her family. And if you really love Marvin Gaye, and you need to come see this show, because if you're going through anything personal in your life, and you know, black folks, we kind of sweep everything under the rug, but you ain't gonna be able to sweep nothing under the rug after you see this show. If you have somebody in your family is struggling, you're gonna call them first thing right after the show. And so it's also emotional. And then for me going back to D.C. next week, I'm going to need Barbara and them to stand with me on the stage, because it's so emotional.
I can only imagine.
It's Marvin. Again, Marvin's spirit is, ask Ziola, how was he? She said he was one of the most beautiful people ever in the history of life. You know, so you guys got to come see this show. It's been an emotional ride like this all the way through since rehearsal.
Can I say this one more thing?
Go ahead.
What I love about this is, you know, the Bible is one of the most popular books in history. The life of Jesus is so popular, it's amazing. And when the Bible talks about leaving a legacy, leaving something for your children, it's not always about money.
Right.
Yes.
It's not always about money when the Bible talks about leaving something for our children. Marvin's life is still sending messages, still leaving messages for us to go with.
And that's where I was going to go when Cliff came back in. That's where I was going to go. I started off with the question, why now? And you said because there were some personal demons that you had to exercise and things you had to get in place. I would even add to that and say the reason for now, because the message is for this season.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a remnant that needs to hear this message, and that's why this season. So what you guys are doing has an assignment attached to it.
Correct. Oh, you wait now. I'm gonna tell you now, the Lord shows up, Doc.
Oh,
Lord shows up.
Glory to God. Listen, I could go on and on. I'm slipping into the midday, and I know, and I've got some folks giving me signals, like telling me we got to wrap. But you know, I enjoy good conversation.
Yes.
I enjoy enlightening dialogue. You have blessed our audience this morning. I know that because you blessed me. Ziola, Tony, Cliff, good seeing you again. And I thank God for transparency.
Yes.
Cliff, I thank God for that, because sometimes the biggest witness that we have is in our ability to just let it all show.
That's right.
Let it all show, you know. And so, you know, I'm going to be praying for you guys. I'm going to be out there. You'll hear me in the background. I mean, you won't see me, but you'll hear me out there. Hey!
I think we really got to say before we close that, you know, you all out there in the Baltimore area, D.C. area, come out and see the show. But I think we really just have to give a big hug, and a God-like hug to Ziola for allowing herself to open up her family's life. It's not easy being transparent.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. And some folk, like we said before, because of the demons that they're dealing with, will always cleave to the negative stuff and not miss and not grab hold of what can really be a blessing to their lives.
That's right. That's why Baltimore, you gotta come and see. You gotta come and see John Canada. You gotta come and see Miss Lynn Whitfield, Keith Washington, Leah Grant, Javier Hero.
Is there a relationship between you and
She's my ex-wife. Yes.
Okay, all right. Y'all working together.
We're still family, brother. We're family, brother.
Man,
we will forever be family. That's how it is.
That's how much love it is.
There you go.
And we got some, Keith Washington is playing older Marvin.
Right.
Of course, the fabulous Lynn Whitfield. Tondi Gallant plays Anna.
Some good voices in there singing too.
Yes, sir.
I got the best cast ever, and like I say, my cast was handpicked by God.
Yeah.
God's hand is in this all the way.
So I guess it's safe to say he's the executive producer.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll play right. I'll play right again. Angela Barrow-Dunlap.
Yeah, right.
And Mr. Quentin Perry and Marvin Webster, our producers. Kier Perry, we got a great team.
Yeah, see, he's an old veteran. He know how to get them all. February 28th through March the 2nd, 2013. Don't miss out. Get your tickets. They're on sale now. The Modell pack at the Lyric. Art Modell bought the Lyric before before his death. So you're still close to the Ravens. Sorry, Tony. 140 West Mount Road. To get more information,
wearing my Dallas Cowboy outfit.
I want to see Ray Lewis at the show. Ray, we want to see you. I met a couple of the guys last night. So I told them to come out to the show.
Okay, I was with Torrey Smith on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. Okay, you can call 547-7328, and for group sales 410-900-1165. Got to get them up out of here. I got to take a couple pictures though before they go. And before I do that, let me just tell you we're going to sign off right now because we're already inside the midday. Hope you've enjoyed the program this morning. We'll be back tomorrow with more great stuff. Until then, that's a wrap.
Go Cowboys.